Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to highlight a particular product of mine and show you how you can use it in your sound design. We're going to be talking about the Tones pack. Now there's both a paid version of this available as well as a free version, so there's always a way to follow along with this video. But if you do consider purchasing the paid version, now is the time to do so, as I'm running a holiday sale as this video is coming out. The link to the Gumroad page is going to be in the description. Anyway, here's the project. This is actually the same project as the last video where I just showed you how you would get started quickly and efficiently, and I talked a little bit about making sure that you're quickly getting ideas out there. So let's continue with that by looking at how you can use the Tones pack. Now I already used it for this patch over here. This is a patch that I just quickly made in that other video, and it just opens up a tone and it plays it, no effects, nothing like that. This is the simplest way to do it. This is just going to give you one equal tone that you can then put a few effects on, and then you have a synth like this. Now we can do a little bit more in terms of the sound design. What we can do is, for example, turn on oscillator B and then go in here, right click, randomize all. This is going to randomize all of the phase positions for this saw wave, and we get a tone that looks like that. It just looks like a randomized waveform, but this still has the saw wave harmonics, so you get a little bit of that classical saw wave warmth in the sound. But what you can also do is combine two tones together. So let's go into the Tones pack. I'm going to go into volume 2 and I'm just going to select a random one and we'll browse a couple of different options. Let's say that we like that one, we can do still a little bit more. Let's add some unison here so that we get a nice wider sound. And we'll create a little bit of a custom amplitude envelope like this. Just gives it a little bit more punch. We can distort these two together. And we can actually turn on the hyper here, and that's going to basically stereonize these two together in the same way that the unison is doing it. It creates 4 different voices here with a little bit of detuning, and we're just going to mix that in right before the distortion together with some dimension. Now maybe you want a little bit of extra movement. We can do that too by using the filter. Let's go with something like a flanger filter here. Let's go with the phaser actually. And we'll do that on both oscillators. So this is just the basic use of the Tones pack within a patch, but there's much more that you can do. One of the tricks that I think I've shown before on this channel is to use them for grid synths, because the Tones pack actually includes something called combination tables, which is essentially a wavetable format of all of the tones combined, and you can just kind of browse through them. And this way you have all of those individual cycles, not really to morph between like a normal wavetable, but to kind of step between. So I'm just going to make a couple of different steps here, holding the shift key. And then I'm going to assign this to the wavetable position, and now we can step between them. Maybe you don't really like this combination of sounds. What we can do is maybe change the range here. Maybe there's a few individual ones that we don't like. And this is already a nice start for some grid synths. What we can do next is we can make a rhythm. Let's set this to 16. We set this to the volume, and we'll just draw in a couple of shapes here. Let's make this sound a little bit more exciting with some detuning. We'll add some distortion and some hyper, just like we did before. A little bit of compression to glue it together a little bit more. And then we'll remove the lower frequencies. And let's layer that in with our other synth. The next trick that I want to show you also involves the combination tables, and I'll show you how to create interesting particle sounds. Particles are the sounds that are really useful for filling out the background, and what they usually are is triggered by 16 notes. So I'm going to use an arpeggiator here, and we'll set this to 16 notes. And now what we can do is to make your basic particles, all you do is you take your saw wave and you add your bandpass to it, and then you set this to random. So it's going to use the note on random. I just turn this down a little bit, and then you get something like this. You just add your delay to it, in my case an echo. Set it to ping pong, nice long feedback. So those are your standard kind of particles made with a saw wave. What we can also do is use the full tables here. Let's just pick one of them and set this also to the randomness 2. Now, as you can hear, you get a much more unique sound every time a note plays, because not only is the filter cutoff random, but also the wavetail position and therefore the waveform that it uses. So let's maybe also put that under there. I'm just going to play one note here again. The final thing that I want to show for now is the one-shot potential that this has. Let's create another serum here. And we're just going to browse a random tone here. I just like to open these up at random. Sometimes I look at the waveform if I have something in mind. For now, we're just going to leave it, and I'm going to set up the pattern first. Let's say that we're working on something here. A very common pattern is just to do like something like this, where you do 2 16 notes followed by an 8th note. So we just make this a little bit longer, like that. And we'll have to set it down a couple of octaves. 1, 2, 3. As you can hear, this tone doesn't really work, so we're just going to browse a couple. Something like that, nice and gritty. And we'll use a different waveform for the second oscillator. Let's make this one stereo. This way we have a mono component and a stereo component. And I'm just going to pass these through a bandpass filter. What I sometimes like to do is turn the mix down a little bit so it becomes a bell. And we'll have a nice narrow Q. And now we can just automate this over this little pattern here. Something like that. We can add our delay to this. Let's add a final bit of reverb just to give it a little bit of extra room sound. And sometimes what you need to do is remove some of the lower frequencies. I just always like to check. There is a little bit of stuff there, so we can just remove that because we know we're not going to need that. And that's how easy it is to make some quick one-shots. Now, of course, you can use them for anything. We just made a couple of steps here, but you can use them for slides. You can use them for all kinds of other sounds. And really, you can just experiment with it. And that's what the fun is with the tones pack, because there are so many tones, especially in the second version. There's actually over 2,000 individual cycles. You have plenty of choice and you'll never really run out of different sounds. And you can obviously always combine them, do crazy stuff like that. And I just really wanted to highlight with this video, so even if you don't want to purchase this, I at least suggest that you take up the free version of it. But that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you found it helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.